You know, I was really surprised that the author made the character age 6 years. I Normally authors don't do that. I know some authors, each book will take place a month or so later, and the earlier ones have been taken a year apart. But now the book has a the space between the last book and this book has been 6 years, even though the author's been issuing the books sequentially each year, which has been awesome. We've done a good binge read on this series. Welcome to the Dealy Reads book series. I'm Christina, K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. And we're on book 18 of Ursula Blanchard, Fiona Buckley. We've been doing a binge read, and I know we're getting towards the end. I don't know what Fiona's gonna do. I know in real life, Walsingham and Cecil will die soon, and the Queen has got another 30, 20, 25, 30 years. No. She's got another 20 years exactly. So I don't know if Fiona's going to continue the series after Elizabeth dies, and or if she's going to have Ursula die, or what's going to happen. But I was surprised that she did advance the series 6 years between this book and the last book. I thought that was quite an extended period of time, and to have Ursula age so much, I was surprised at that. Because Ursula's getting a little old for this stuff. And I'm surprised we're not training a sidekick, but for a spin-off series, potentially. But I was really, that kind of, there was a couple things that hung with me with this book. The fact that there's 6 years between the last book and this book, even though the author issued them sequentially. And the fact that there are so many attempts on Ursula's life in this book. I had a headache. I got a headache from all the attempts. The poor woman, I think there was 3 attempts on her life, and they were all almost successful. And for her age to be going through all this stuff is horrific. And my other issue was I worried about Mildred the whole book. I know there are extra books. Those of you who have stuck with me, I started with book 23. I hated it because I didn't know everybody. I wasn't familiar. There was a big family catch-up in the beginning of the book, and Ursula wasn't introduced, and I didn't know who she was, and all this kind of stuff. Now that I've gone back and read them all, now I know who everybody is. So now I like the family catch-ups. And we will do 23 again. But to this book, Ursula is our heroine, and we do not see Elizabeth. We do not, the Queen. We do not see her 2 right-hand people, William Cecil and Walsingham, but we do hear about them quite often, but they are not on stage per se. And I have got to sneeze. Hold on a second. Oh, after COVID, or during COVID, because we all wore the masks, I had severe, massively allergies my whole life. And COVID came and we all started wearing masks outside. Those masks helped more than my allergy meds. They were fantastic. Wearing the mask was life-changing. And after all that was said and done, my allergies were pretty good. They were at bay for a while. And the previous 6 months, I was 100% medicine-free for 6 months. Now my allergies have come back with a vengeance. And which sinus drip. Anyways, where was it? So Ursula is our heroine. She's getting a little elderly now. She has a son, Harry. We really don't see much of him. And we have Dale and Broccoli, her maidservant, manservant friends. They've been with her the entire series, and they too are getting elderly. And we have a whole bunch of new characters, and usually I have my spreadsheet out and I start all the extras. I didn't keep a track of any of that, and I should have. There's a lot of extras in this book. Usually we don't get, well, yeah, actually we do. There's usually a ton of extras in most of her books, but I think the last one and the one before it, our extras was really limited, and that was good. We just kept with our core peeps. But this book has a ton of extras because we're out of town. And it starts out simple. And it gets complicated. It gets very, very complicated. Did you ever hear that expression? It's complicated. It's complicated. Okay. So, as you know, Ursula, from the last book, had inherited Jane and Joyce Frost. Their father had ended up in the tower because of the stuff he did, and she took on the twins, and one of the twins has since gotten married. Joyce is still with Ursula, and it took her a while to warm up to Ursula. They've now become really good friends, and Ursula's helped her tremendously, and Joyce is very appreciative of all that help. And then, so all this is going on, and they're talking about the neighborhood and being at home and liking being home. And then it's brought to her attention that she has two houses, Hawkswood and With Y Sham. And I gotta sneeze again. Apparently the accounts at With Y Sham are not what they're supposed to be, and it sounds like their steward is embezzling. So they go to confront the steward, and he confesses everything. He's being blackmailed by a cousin, by an uncle. When he was 16 years old, he had relations with a girl, and he was embarrassed that he had the relationship with a younger woman, and he was forced to marry the younger woman, and she died in childbirth, and it has bothered him his entire life, the guilt over it. And now his uncle is blackmailing him over this incident, and he's very embarrassed by it. So Ursula goes to confront the uncle. He lives distance away. Ursula says, you know what? I'm going to go take care of this. You will not be paying him a single penny more. Don't you ever give him any money. She understands the situation. She's sympathetic. And then she gets a letter from Walsingham. While you're in the area, could you check on my two agents, the ones that you hired a couple of years ago? We haven't heard from them in a substantial period of time. So she goes, yes, ma'am. Yes. Can I help you? Come here. Come here. Come here. I know, we haven't done your brush yet. We need to do your brushing. She wants her brushing. So they all trek off. And they don't take Gladys with them this time, and they should have. They could have used Gladys. And we all know Sybil has moved on to Edinburgh to be with her family. Gladys and Sybil were companions. So we venture off, and we discover that both agents are dead. One agent was conveniently poisoned in a bar, and then conveniently led outside at the exact moment buggy, horse, it's like 2 or 3 horses come by in a stampede and they kill him. They run him over. He just accidentally and it later turns out, and it sounds, it sounds like it was on purpose on the perpetrator's part, and it was on purpose on the perpetrator's part. And then we discover that the other agent is also deceased. Supposedly he received a note from a lover, and there was a little bit of scandal there because he's married. The lover says, no, I did not send a note. It was a really cold night. It was a horrible weather night. I did not do this. So that is also discovered to be murder. And it gets so complicated. There are so many layers. And the finger gets pointed. You're like, a certain part of the story, you're certain, you're positive he did it. And then it's like, well, maybe. And then you're positive the other one did it. And it's like, well, maybe they're working together. And then another person. It isn't until the end of the book that the perpetrator is in your face. But it takes that long. It takes Ursula that long, almost to the very, very end, to get to the truth of the matter. In the meantime, when they get to their destination, they're staying with distant family. And the husband does not approve of Ursula and her pursuits. So they make up the story that because this family had a fire and they don't have the room for Ursula and her gang, they're going to stay with this other family. And hold on a second. My nose today. So they're going to stay with this other family. And this other family is very strict Puritans. They only wear black. There are no ornaments or decorations in their house. They live a very simple life. They eat very plain and simple foods. And they've got their daughter, Mildred, betrothed to this wealthy, land-owning, elderly man in his 50s. He's a tad bit overweight. He drools a little bit, and he's friendly with his servants. And one of his servants keeps giving Mildred the evil eye. Mildred does not like this prospective suitor. Her parents have already signed the contracts and the betrothals forms, and they are determined to have Mildred married off to this guy because he's a landowner, because he's got a few dollars, all this kind of stuff. And it isn't until Ursula brings to their attention, because their daughter she wears a pale gray. She has no necklace, no jewelry, she has no talent. Music leads to extra activities, and her parents don't approve of those activities. And Ursula's trying to point out to them that this guy who's got the money likes jewelry, likes fancy dresses, likes the flute and the piano and the harpsichord, and maybe he wants his wife to be able to use one of these instruments. And her parents I guess so. So they get Mildred out. Ursula hangs out with her. And Mildred does not want to marry this guy. And you are right behind Mildred the whole book. And as much between Ursula, between the life attempts on Ursula and Mildred's angst about marrying this guy, I was just like, oh, good God. Why? Yeah, I know but he's slobbering, he's icky. You won't believe what happens at the end. It came out of left field. But so there are two left fields at the end of the book. The who done it. Because all of a sudden it's like you're like wandering down the road and you're like, oh, it's gotta be this person. It absolutely has to be this person. And then she's like, nope, it's that person. And then you're like, poor Mildred, what's gonna happen? Oh, good God, Mildred. What's gonna happen, Mildred? And there are two left turns. They're like, but I like this guy. But this guy doesn't like her. And then this guy turns out to be one of our suspects. But there's another guy. So there may be something going on there. But we still got to get rid of the rich guy first. And it just comes out I guess the Mildred thing has a twist, huge twist at the end. And the three whodunits. Well, no, the two whodunits are twists because you're looking this way, and like I said, the one comes out of the blue. One's just hit you in the face. You didn't see it coming. And what happens to that person you didn't see coming? And the other two twisty turns. There's quite a few. It's a very, very layered book. So we'll see what happens. But Ursula's getting a little old there. And I'm looking forward to the Forest Secret. We'll see what happens. These pieces of paper come in handy. So I can label the reading order. But I think I'm going to try I've got a short 4-book series of Regency I might check out first. We'll see what happens. So if you could please hit the like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And don't forget, here it is. Where is it? Flashback Monday. I love that magazine. And it's coming to an end soon. Oh, woe is me. All right. Have a good one.